Comet The Colt of Steel, Chapter 6, Part 2. I tapped on Applebloom's bedroom door with the tip of my hoof.
Who is it?
Applejack's voice said from behind the door. I gently set the plate down onto the floor.
It's me, AJ.
I answered.
I brought you some apple fritters from downstairs. I figured you might be hungry. Can I come in? Sure thing, door's already open,
she replied, and I picked the plate back up and opened the door. The room was pitch black, the only light was sunlight shining through the window. Applejack sat on the edge of the bed next to a large mound in the sheets.
Who is it, Applejack?
A muffled voice asked through the bedsheets.
It's Apple Comet,
Applejack replied to her sister.
He brought up some apple fritters to cheer you up. Go away! I never want to see you again!
My little sister's sudden shriek was followed by a pillow flying towards my head. Immediately, I ducked down and darted away from the puffy projectile, which missed me by a country mile. With my X-ray vision, I saw Applebloom laying with her forelegs crossed, holding a teddy bear in vice grip. Her mane was disheveled and unkempt, her eyes were puffy from crying, and a deep scowl crossed her face.
Applebloom!
Applejack scowled angrily.
I know, y'all are upset, but that's no way to treat your brother when he's just trying to be nice to you. He's not my brother.
Applebloom snapped back.
He's a monster, an alien freak.
Applebloom's words stabbed me like a knife through the heart. My jaw went slack, sending the plate crashing to the floor.
Now, that wasn't a very nice thing to say, Applebloom,
Applejack said, getting up off the bed.
I'm so very sorry about her. She's been like this all day.
My ears drooped as I looked up to her.
No, it's fine. I understand,
I said, turning towards the door.
I'll go get a broom and dustpan and sweep this up. No, Apple Comet, wait!
Applejack called out.
I'll get it. I think you and Applebloom need to have a little talk.
And with that, she turned and walked out of the room.
Hey, Applebloom. How's it going?
It was a stupid question, but I had to start somewhere. She shuffled and turned over to the side, my X-ray vision remembering.
Look, I don't know what else I can say about Pa. Well, then don't say anything!
She snapped.
It's all your fault he's dead! You and your freaky alien powers! It should have been you that ended up as Timberwolf food instead of Pa!
My heart sank at her words. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. That she was only being a poophead, but deep down, I sort of felt the same. What if it had been me who had been killed? What would Pa be doing if he were in my shoes right now?
Do you really believe that, Bloom?
I asked.
Would the rest of the family really be better off if I'd never arrived?
Applebloom's heart rate began to speed up. She was breathing harder and faster.
I'm not saying that,
she said hesitantly.
I'm just saying, why couldn't you save him with all your amazing powers like y'all did with Granny?
It was a question I'd been asking myself for the last couple of days. I doubted that I would ever find the answer.
I was too foolish, I guess,
I finally said.
Pa tried to warn me, but I wouldn't listen. I thought I could handle them on my own. I could smash them like they were made out of glass. I could turn them to ash just by looking at them, or freeze them solid with my breath. I forgot that Pa wasn't as powerful as I was, and Applebloom, believe me when I say I would give up my powers if it could bring Pa back.
For a moment the room fell silent. Then my ear picked up the faint sound of whimpering coming from the sheets. My heart sank as I trotted up to the bed and lifted the sheets off of her. In an instant, Applebloom wrapped her forelegs around my neck and buried her face into my mane. She didn't say anything to me, she just She just sobbed and trembled against me like a newborn foal. I shut my eyes and patted her gently on the back. Her insults no longer mattered. The fact that I was adopted no longer mattered. My powers no longer mattered. What mattered in this instance was that my little sister needed a shoulder to cry on, and that I was there for her.
I'm sorry.
She whispered to me in a trembling voice.
I didn't mean what I said. Please don't go away.
A gentle smile crossed my face as I looked down at her.
It's okay, Bloom. I forgive you.
The atmosphere at the dinner table that evening was as silent as a church at night. As the family filed into the dining room, every pony sat in the seats they had been given. Apple Bloom and I sat with Applejack and Big Mac next to the other kids, while Granny sat in her usual spot. Pa's usual space was left empty, marked by an old photograph sitting in his chair at the head of the table. One by one, the family joined hooves and bowed their heads as Granny began the blessing of grace.
Faust, Mother of Harmony, we thank you for this bounty of food and for all the blessings bestowed upon this family, which we are grateful for.
At once, the rest of the family joined in.
We thank you for our health and well-being in our bountiful harvest. In this difficult time as we mourn the passing of Bright Mac, we humbly ask that you take his soul into your Elysian fields, that he may find everlasting peace. Give us the strength to heal and the guidance to move on, that through this dark time we may see the light. For thou is thy mother, thy mentor, and thy friend. Amen. Now, let us eat,
Granny said as the rest of the family raised their heads and picked up their utensils to begin eating. Chapter 7: A Family Meeting. After breakfast, the rest of the family packed up the wagons and headed off for home. We said our usual goodbyes and exchanged shows of affection, which unfortunately for me and Apple Bloom meant lots of wet kisses and cheek pinches from elderly relatives. I suppose I should consider myself lucky that my skin was indestructible. Anyway, after we'd said our goodbyes to everyone in the household, had been given time to settle down, I decided that it was time to talk to the family about what I saw in the crystal that night. I walked into the living room to find Granny sitting on the couch looking through an old photo album with a cup of tea in her hoof. It was now or never. I couldn't let my guilt hold me back anymore. She had to know. They all did.
Granny?
She looked up at me. Her face looked more worn and haggard than yesterday.
What is it, dear?
She asked me.
I'd like to call a family meeting, if I could. There's just something I've got to tell you all.
For a moment, she just looked at me with her tired, weary eyes. Then, she closed the album and set it gently on the coffee table.
All right, then,
she said quietly before reaching into the nearby nightstand and pulling a small triangle out of the drawer.
Family meeting!
The volume of her voice was so loud it managed to drown out the clanging of the triangle. Needless to say, it was not a good time to have super hearing. Much to my misfortune, the insufferable clanging was soon joined by a cacophony of stampeding hooves, and I could already tell who they belonged to.
Hurry up, Applejack! I'm coming!
Apple Bloom came bounding down the stairs with AJ hot on her heels. Granny seized, ringing the infernal triangle, and set it down onto the nightstand.
Where's your brother?
Granny asked. Applejack and Apple Bloom looked at each other and shrugged their shoulders.
I don't know, Granny,
Applejack responded. A flushing sound.
Okay, he's in the upstairs bathroom,
I answered.
You saw upstairs again, huh?
Applejack asked me, and I recoiled as the image of Big Mac sitting down to do his business ran through my head.
No, gross! I just heard the toilet flushing, that's it!
Applejack chuckled and sat down onto the couch.
I don't get it, Applejack.
Apple Bloom asked her sister.
What's so funny?
Applejack waved a hoof and snorted.
Oh, nothing, just your brother saying things he probably shouldn't.
My embarrassment was thankfully short-lived as Big Mac came trotting down the stairs. Sorry I was late, Granite. I was in the washroom when I heard you.
We know!
I shouted in frustration, my voice shaking the window frames and shelves.
Sorry.
The living room became awkwardly quiet as Big Mac took a seat on the end of the couch.
So, Granny, what'd you call a family meeting for?
Applejack finally asked.
I didn't call it. Your brother did.
Granny explained to her.
Go ahead, Apple Comet.
I took in a deep breath and sighed.
Thanks, Granny. Everyone, I've got something to tell you. The night Pa showed me the rocket, I found a message inside the crystal that he showed me. You mean the funny-looking one that was all glowing and all funny-like?
Applejack gave me a look of confusion.
Yeah, that one.
I answered.
Well, you started to act mighty strange when you looked into it. What'd the message say?
Granny asked, getting right to the point.
It told me the truth, Granny.
I answered.
About who I am, where I come from, why I'm different. Well, don't leave us in suspense,
Apple Bloom exclaimed as she stood up on the couch in excitement.
Come on, tell us. Okay, so as soon as it lit up, everything just vanished. I found myself in a strange house that I'd never seen before, and I met these two ponies who said that they were my parents.
Their eyes went wide, pupils shrunk in surprise, and Granny Smith spat out her tea.
Your parents?
They all cried out in shock.
As in, your birth parents?
Granny asked, reaching for her handkerchief.
Well, that's what they told me,
I answered.
They told me their names were Javel and Lauren, and that I was on another planet called Colton. They said it was where I was born.
The room went dead quiet. No one dared to say a thing. They just stared in awe at me like a deer caught in the locomotive's headlight.
So, yeah. Turns out I'm kinda, sort of, probably an alien or something? I don't know how, since I look like any other pony, but... hey, are you guys feeling okay?
An awkward smile stretched across my face. About a minute or so, Applejack finally managed to pick her jaw up off the floor.
Granny? Yes, Applejack? Could y'all give me a pinch right about now? I want to be sure I ain't dreaming this. Of course, dear. Okay, yeah, out!
Applejack jumped off and landed onto her flank in an undignified fashion.
Thank you.
Granite. Big Mac raised his hoof. I think I might need a pinch too.
Yeah, me too. No, wait.
I interjected.
I know this sounds crazy, but I can prove to you it's real. I just... I need to find some way to make it play the memory for all of us or something.
They looked at one another with expressions of uncertainty, unsure of what to make of my suggestion. Finally, Granny stood up from the couch and walked over to me.
I really don't know what to say about all this alien whatchamacallit,
she said, looking at me in the eye.
After the way it made you act last time, I'm not sure it would be a good idea. Okay, it didn't make me act the way, Granny. I swear it didn't.
I protested.
I was scared. They told me that Colton had exploded a long time ago and I was the only survivor. They said they put me in that rocket and sent me here to save me. And they said I was going to become stronger than I am now. They said that ponies might fear me if they might try to destroy me. Alright. I think I heard enough,
Granny declared.
My mind's all made up. Until you get a little older, I don't want you fooling around with that thing. It's putting all sorts of kooky ideas in your head.
She turned over to the couch.
And that goes for you three as well. I don't want no pony fooling around in that barn when I'm not around. You got me?
All three of them nodded.
Alright then,
she said as she turned back over to me and placed her hooves on my shoulders.
I want you to understand something. I ain't doing this to be mean, or 'cause I just want to. I just want you to be safe because, alien or not, you're a part of this family and we love you. You've been through a lot these last few days. We all have. Right now, you shouldn't be thinking about where y'all came from and what's going to happen to you. Y'all should be going out there being a cult, going to school, making friends, not spending your whole childhood coked up in a barn looking at crystals all day. But what about my powers?
I asked her.
Javel and Lauren said I'm only going to get stronger as I grow. How am I supposed to go to school, make friends and all that stuff without hurting someone?
Granny rubbed her hoof against her chin, pondering how best to deal with the problem at hoof.
Well, yes. I suppose that is quite a query of a quandary, isn't it?
She pondered.
Although
what, Granny? Big Mac asked.
I think I might have an idea about that.
She answered slyly as she reached under the couch and pulled out a large gong and mallet.
You young'uns are free to go. I've got some thinking to do.
She slammed the mallet against the gong.
Family meeting adjourned. How many instruments does she have under there anyway?
I asked, to which my siblings only shrugged. I didn't know at the time, but tomorrow was going to be one of the craziest days of my life. And considering the last few days, that's saying a lot.